When Colonel Cook went on an official tour of Croatia in 1992, it was obvious how much the brutal civil war had destroyed. Ironically, the orphanage, which had been a symbol of unity, with Serb, Croat and Muslim children living happily together as a family, was one of the worst casualties.
I wasn't prepared mentally for the shock of the total devastation in Croatia and the areas where the war had been fought, and of course in Bosnia today. And one of the places I first visited was this little town of Lipik. There was a lovely hospital complex, and in this hospital complex was an orphanage, which had been there for 100 years. And the war started with shells firing into the orphanage at 5:30 in the morning. And the children were in the orphanage at the time. It was a home for about 65 children. The roof and the ceilings had collapsed here, and with all the beds and everything in. So there was 4 or 5 feet of rubble, which had to be got out manually. And we started to do this. And the British soldiers were wonderful, and they worked terribly hard. I went to meet the children who had been evacuated and spent a lovely day with them, at the end of which I said, I promise you, I will rebuild your home. At the same time, I started fundraising, and I'd never had any experience in this before.
His work with the orphanage had actually taken over his life, so the Colonel made the decision to retire from the army 5 years early.
It's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And I just got to finish this. And I've left the army after 32 years to do this.
Hello. Dobrodošli.
I'm not trying to save lives today. There are plenty of other agencies who are doing a wonderful job. This is just my little crusade to reconstruct this home for 80 children. Then in some small way, very small way, I can perhaps do a little bit to create a peaceful environment in which, when the war is over, they've got to learn to live together again.